G'day, this is Captainoob, and this is a Remington Model 11, otherwise potentially known as a Browning Auto 5. Now, don't let that auto in its name fool you. This is in fact a semi-automatic shotgun. Rather, auto is probably derived from the fact that it's an auto-loading shotgun that doesn't require you to pump it or crank any bolts or handles in order to chamber the next round, which probably would have been big news back then because your standard infantry rounds at the time where this is first invented and produced would have been your bolt-action rifles, which would drastically slow down your rate of fire. So, you know, shooting 5 shotgun shells very, very quickly, probably 6 if you got one in the chamber loaded in. That's some pretty good news right there. And so this thing was made by, obviously, John Browning, and the Browning name for weaponry is pretty famous. Other hits of his include the M2 Browning, that big 50 cal machine gun. There's one of those in Fallout 76, and also the Browning automatic rifle, which the combat rifle looks like it was derived from in Fallout 4, although it's a very ugly looking combat rifle. The bar looks a lot better. There's actually a pistol grip version of the bar in Fallout New Vegas Dead Money DLC. That's a good looking gun despite its age. But anyways, back to the Model 11. So this thing's got custom sounds and animations, obviously, for reloading this thing with individual shotgun shells at one time. And we've got a bullet counting reloading system, so we'll be loading in the exact shells that we actually need, so we don't have to worry about having a full 5 to 7 shot reload animation when we don't actually need it, which is nice. I think the damage here is going to be similar to that of a combat shotgun, so fairly vanilla approach to this. Shotguns, I feel like, suffer in Fallout 4 because of the difficulties having half of your damage removed and then splitting this damage between the multiple projectiles. You don't really get very far unless you crit things in the face, so we might want to go ahead and do that once we get into gameplay, but we'll throw this all the way up to advanced. There's no automatic settings on this thing, so again, full auto is not an option here, but advanced, doing 301 is not too bad. Legendary effect is there if you need it. We'll just ignore that. You can have a laser sight mounted onto the handguard of this if you feel like it, or perhaps a flashlight would be more prudent, but we're going to put a laser on it because we're stupid. Next up, we've got a barrel. You can have that long, which will require steel that I don't have. That's really weird. Or a very long barrel, which will give you 7+1 rounds because that extended tube allows you to fit slightly more shells into that, so that's nice. I'll just give myself some steel and then we'll keep going. Alright, very long barrel goes on and we get our next attachment point shifted, probably because we've either added or taken something away, but we're on to the stocks now. We've got a standard stock, a stock with shells, which will have shells just sort of strapped along the side there. It'd be cool if that would actually increase your reload speed, but it doesn't. Or you can have that sawn off for more recoil, lightweight, and less action point cost. So if you want to use this thing exclusively in VATS, then that's a pretty darn good choice for it. And you can throw on foregrips on this thing, which will just sort of, I guess you're going to screw a Picatinny rail in that handguard there and we'll call it a day. So, I don't know if we've strayed from the, I guess, the spirit of the Remington Model 11 here, but we're going to throw some tactical attachments on it and just ruin it for everyone watching who sees me ruin this timeless classic of a shotgun. You can change the muzzles though. You can have a brake cylinder, which is good for close. It's a wider spray. You've got a brake modified, so that'll be slightly better for range. And you've got a full muzzle brake here, or a big choke, and it'll help you tighten your spread over at a range where it would be more appropriate to use this thing. Longer ranges than what your standard vanilla shotguns in this game would produce. So I feel like that's a pretty good idea, and that's especially useful if you want to choose a round type called a 12-gauge slug, but we'll get to that in a second. And we'll throw on some more tactical attachments, including, well, there's a bunch of these. There's some reflex sights, some of these holographic ones. Some of these look like they're from Call of Duty. Like, where the hell is that from? A Mars reflex sight. We're using Martian technology on this thing. It's strangely similar to what we've got here. We've also got magnifiers here, just in case you want to go sniping. There's also, I think there was an ACOG that I spotted earlier. Maybe it's further down. There we go. You can throw an ACOG on this, so you can snipe with slug shells if you feel like it. But I feel like that's a little bit too much. We'll just go for an Aerotech 552, and we'll move on from that. Right now, I've got buckshot rounds. You can grab Dragon's Breath, which gives you free Skyrim flame damage, which will probably be devastatingly effective, so I'm going to do it. You've also got flechettes, which will give you better armor piercing with more pellets, so potentially more damage, but again, you're splitting that damage between more projectiles, which might screw you over. You just hope that your armor penetrating will sort of offset the bonus that you get facing enemies' armor. And the slug is just one giant big slug bullet, which is good for sniping if you had a scope, for example. But we'll go with the Dragon's Breath. There's also a modifier to increase the thing's power, and I like how it doesn't increase the Skyrim damage power. It's not coded to, so isn't that nice? And you can change the furniture on it to wood, wood worn, or polymer, black with less weight. It's not going to actually change the weight of the weapon, but now it's even more tactical. It's full black. And you can change the material of the receiver and barrel from standard to worn or gold. Worn looks nice. I like that. That's actually quite a good looking shotgun. Just ignore the attachments on it, I suppose. And I believe that is everything for this particular shotgun. Yes. Okay, so let's talk about getting these things, and then we'll shoot stuff. Shoot things, stuff, and something. This weapon is craftable on a chemistry workbench. Find weapons, Remington, and then you can craft it for these materials. No scrolling needed there. Adhesive, screw, spring, steel, wood, and no perks in gun nut. So this is a gimme. You can get this super early on if you know what you're looking for. Alright, welcome to the Immersive Gunners Plaza. Here is our Remington Model 11 in all of its tactical glory in first person. Taking a quick look down sights here, I want to say this is probably one of the better AOTech sights or holographic sights I've seen in quite a while, which is kind of a shame because for a non-precision weapon such as a shotgun, I feel like this is kind of wasted on it, but it's a brilliant looking sight, very nice. But another thing I want to draw attention to is this thing's hipfire accuracy. At least with the HUD now, it looks like it'll be really tight, but it's exaggerating a little bit. I think we're being flattered a little bit with the laser sight attached to it. But even when we fire this thing at that tanker from back here, and we can see all those incendiary traces working, like not how Dragon's Breath would work in real life. As I was shooting at someone said a mass, most of those pellets are going to be hitting, which is great because this means this shotgun's going to be rewarding me for paying attention and being accurate with it, which is, you know, you want to see that a little bit from your shotguns. You don't want everything to just be a spray and pray type deal and having shotguns with terrible spread. See the terrible shotgun from Fallout 3 if you want to know what I'm thinking about there. But we've also made a couple of other variants of these, including one with a sawn-off stock with a reflex sight. Flesh out rounds in that one too. That's going to be our main one for VATS. There's the reload animation, at least partially, in third person. This one here is standard buckshot. It's sort of the mullet sort of setup here. It's like business at the top, but party tactical down the bottom. It's very tactical down the bottom, but you can't even see it from first person, so isn't that nice? And lastly, we've got our sniper status version with the slug rounds and an ACOG scope giving us a nice 4x zoom, which I can't utilize properly in third person. It actually pulls you into first person when you aim down sights. And good news about the projectile on this thing, it's hit scan, which means these spinny little bastards, I don't have to lead the target or anything. I just click and that's where the bullet hits, or the slug, I suppose. But this is the cheap sniping spot that I usually take, but we're going to do things a little bit differently today because being a weapon that isn't suppressed, the cheap shots from here, they're not going to last forever. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a ton of gunners, not that one, and we're going to be spamming VATS criticals while sneaking. See if we get some great one-shot kills. I think we've picked up 2. We got 2 kills from that entire run, which is not too bad. So whilst they're scattering and diving into cover, we'll throw in some extra rounds, and we'll try to get some of the follow-up shots in and see if we can land some kills here. There's one. That turret is going to give me a suppressed... it's going to give me a vision... make my vision blur from suppression. That guy's getting a little bit too close, so we'll go ahead and try to hit him with some Dragon's Breath from back here, which is not doing very well. We're hitting most of the targets there, but unfortunately, we're just slightly out of range for this shotgun to function, so we have to run a little bit closer in order to get this to work. Now, here's the problem with this thing, and it's not because the mod itself, it's just because what this thing would be like in real life. Because if I was to use like a combat shotgun, for example, in this game, I've got a 32 round drum magazine at my disposal, and if I want to swap that over that's just a quick in and out. There's your new magazine. You ready to fire again for the next week and a half. But the week and a half with this weapon, I'm going to be spending reloading, and that causes problems if I'm facing more than like 3 gunners at once. But, oh, that's a sniper knockdown. That's the standard iron sights, by the way. That's not a scope, but we've got sniper knockdown on this thing, which means I can cheaply shoot the gunners and they won't even be able to do literally anything about it. So, okay, this is probably a bug, but this mod has been released. Like, I missed this mod when it was first released. I must have been playing right into Fallout 76 at the time of its release, but having the ability to knock things down just with the standard iron sights, perhaps an oversight, no pun intended, but it's going to make things very easy in a one-on-one contest. One-on-one situation. We're not taking a contested mark here. I'll try to tone down the footy terms here. Getting right into it. If you're not on the pies this year, get on the pies. Lid's not off just yet, but it's coming. Anyways, so whilst that gunner is AD spamming like a true Battlefield player, we're going to hit her. And there we go. There's a bashing thing. There's a little bash animation, which, again, potentially like, wasted on a shotgun. Like, why would you ever want to bash when you could just shoot them in the face with a 12-gauge slug or flechette or buckshot or literally anything else? But, you know, if you're out of ammo, then that could be a good option. There's also a commander down there. Where are you going, buddy? I've got no idea. I'm going to try to lure that there behemoth over in this way, and then we'll see what we can do. We'll try to sow a little bit of chaos here, and whilst... Okay, now I'm in nerd rage. We need to get a little bit of a move on here, because if we don't, then we're going to die, and that's not going to be fun. We'll go for a critical here. I thought that would have done a better job. No time to reload. We'll just use the old weapon switcheroo trick and go from there. A little bit of healing came from that, and now I think we get the proper nerd rage damage. Sometimes it takes a while to kick in. That's probably gotten me killed a few times off camera, but still. Mysterious Stranger thought he was going to make an appearance, but decided not, and nice backflip. There's the Mysterious Stranger proc that I needed. And just as I thought he wasn't going to take the shot, he does. Good man. Okay, we needed that, and we're very close to level up here. We'll try to keep it, we'll try to cool things off a little bit by running away from the bulk of the gunner forces here. Nasty gunner over there. Cheap little knockdown though. There we go. There's our level up, and we'll throw in a fresh tube on this thing. See you in a month. There we go. And now we can get back to shooting things. There's an ironic sentiment in the fact that most of the shots that I'm getting, sure, they're hitting, but... Whoops. Hang on, I need to empty this thing. Bullet counting reloaded. It stopped. I can't even fire this thing. There we go. Okay. I don't know what that was. Perhaps it was allowing time for the reload to happen in full, but then I cut it off. So that's not good. Anyways, we'll try to target the face here. It's going to be a little bit difficult thanks to the giant fireballs that I'm casting on my enemies. And I don't just say that because of the Skyrim damage that I'm throwing at them. But we kind of need that extra damage because having the ammo capacity of so little with such a long reload, it's causing a little bit of a struggle, I think. And whilst Captain No Scope gives me a bit of a reaming, we'll try to shoot them, knock them down, and you know what? Let's say you're doing a cartwheel, buddy. Oops, not that time. Gonna dance around a little bit whilst I'm reloading. Hope you don't mind. Bit of AD spam for myself. Actually, I can't do that. Yeah, if you play like a proper FPS shooter game, I think that's gonna be a kill. Nice. You'll find that your Fallout 4 characters don't handle quite as nipply as those. Even if I play Redfall for a little bit and then switch back, there's just a little bit of extra weight behind the Soul Survivor than you'd expect from those games. But alright, so things are going well. I think we're kind of in control at this point, but The power is a little bit lacking, and that just might be because of the absurd difficulty penalties that I am enduring right now, but I feel like the most consistent way to run this shotgun is just throw slugs in it and put a scope on it, because there you get range, and it's not like the VATS penalty for using the scope is going to be massive either. So if you use this thing in VATS, you can get easy, cheap shots doing a lot of good damage fairly quickly, and you can cover your reloads a little bit with some damage reduction as you go along here, and those two I think we can just do manually. And nope, there's no vaulting in Fallout 4, so we've got a leapfrog on, I guess that's a big roof vent there, in order to get where we need to. And we've got the 3 in there, of course, and the ones that are sitting just below here. Honestly, I'm going to use your face to get criticals. That's better. That's good. And you, pretty much the same. We've got the accuracy from here, and not that, like, we've got any elevation bonuses, but I can pretend that we've got elevation bonuses because XCOM 2, baby. But, yeah, I just feel so much more confident using this thing with the 12-gauge slugs than anything else, which is a shame because, you know, its potential as a shotgun is pretty nice. And, oh, I saw that. Try that again, mate. I'll knock you down, possibly make you clip through the through the door and you start freaking out. I don't mind the thought of shotguns ragdolling people, though. That's pretty good. Anyways, just cover the reload around the corner. A timely nerd rage sort of activation there, but I think at this point we would have their numbers. There we go. Alright, so that was a little bit of a struggle, and I'm not inclined to be shooting at a legendary boss for, you know, a few hours spamming criticals. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw some legendary effects on, and there's only one that you'd ever want for a shotgun. So let me set the scene for you. You've got a shotgun, it's a scatter shot weapon, multiple projectiles, but the current ammo type is flechettes in this mod, which will give you more pellets. So if we go over to the legendary effects, we go over to explosive, it's going to change every single pellet into explosions. So we can exponentially increase the amount of explosion damage we get using the flechette with the explosive legendary effect. And one more party trick for you as well. So take this standard looking thing, at least at the top, model 11. Let's change it to a light frame receiver. And then we're going to be a real masochist here and make it down to minus 100% damage. You'll see that we're getting 188,404 damage with this thing now, because that's what happens when you go below 0. The game freaks out because the numbers or something 32-bit. I don't really know what's going on, but effectively we're going to be one-shotting everything with this thing. Fun, right? Not really, but we're gonna do it anyway. Enter the explosive version. There's a super mutant suicider in there, not anymore. Explosion's a little bit exaggerated on him, but let's move on to the main target here. It's going to be the Swan's reincarnation, complete with Gene, who I believe is a... Does he sell you dogs? I'm not sure what he does, but anyways, he is going to get crushed by the Swan, but I feel like at this range we can now utilize this thing to its full potential and get a lot of good damage. Perhaps we could cover the reload by standing behind a train carriage as he's throwing his giant rocks in. Yeah, that seems to do the job. If we can wow, I think Gene's attacking him. He's actually pushed him over mutation now, which is pretty good news for me. But now the Swan's trying to bait me in there. He's actually done pretty well there to eliminate most of my health, but I think at this stage you can probably out DPS him. Maybe. We gotta get a reload first, and we're probably going to be following this up with a lot of shots to the torso. Luckily we can reload this thing very fast indeed. He was pulling that rock out of his ass. If I had waited a second longer there, I would have died. But we've just gotten over the line there with a big... Honestly, that was the big risky play there. I backed this weapon to beat him on the DPS race, and it just got over the line.
Hey there. You look like someone who could use a dog. Woman's best friend too, right?
It's a really weird thing to say to a white girl. Enter the infinite damage shotgun. I wonder how this is going to work. We're just going to take a nice stroll down the street, and oh my god, is that a ghoul? No, it is not. I think we hit him for like 13,000 every pellet, which is, yeah, that'll do the job. Nice little party trick. Sometimes, I don't know whether the mod authors don't like test all of the functions or whether they just have all of the standard sort of attachments set up so you'd find on the vanilla games, which I guess is great for consistency, but if they've got a weapon mod that allows you to reduce the damage by 100% or anywhere near about that, and an attachment on the receiver that reduces the amount of damage that you do, you could just regularly unlock infinite damage for yourself. I guess there's it's up to the players to actually decide whether they want to exploit that, but wouldn't it be better to just take that option away in the first place? Don't know, but that's this. Like I said before, this mod's been around for a while, hasn't seen an update in quite a while, and there's a couple of things that are questionable, but regardless of that, I do think it's a very well put together mod with solid animations. The guns look good, you can wear them. I'm bleeding because I guess there's still a maggot buried deep within my arm. Is it the arm or is it slightly under your shoulder there? Not really sure. I'm sure that'll go away. I think bleeding's normal for women, but I don't think it's from there or that much. But anyways, if you'd like to see this weapon in your game, check out the link in the description. It should be down there. And if it's been around for a while, there's a chance that it might be on the Xbox as well. So if there is a version of this on the Xbox or perhaps an alternative out there, I'll be linking that in the description as well. And I think, nope, that's just going to go forever. I don't know what causes that, but that's really annoying. I need to look into why that is happening. But that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Oh, there it goes. Happy endings after all.